You're listening to the Business Communicators.
When I think of brands, I think of brand equity. And when it comes to TV and what we've seen on social media, there's a saying that goes around that the NFL owns 1 day a week in the United States. And I think it's 100% accurate. You know, we saw deep fakes with Vince Lombardi in the Super Bowl ads. And now this past week, there's been talks of the NFL TV situation. And for those of you that don't follow this, the NFL currently is broadcasted on ESPN and ABC for for Monday Night Football games, CBS and Fox for the main Sunday games, and then NBC for the Sunday night games. And those TV rights and contracts are coming under negotiations right now. And we've seen Amazon kind of insert itself into Thursday Night Football over the past few years. And now there's speculation that these big tech companies like Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, Disney Plus, all these channels could be players in the NFL TV contracts coming up, and maybe even going into the NBA, going into Major League Baseball, and I think that's absolutely fascinating because we've seen cable TV absolutely crash over the last 5 to 10 years as people start cutting the cord and going towards Hulu, going towards YouTube TV, Amazon Prime. So Thomas, you were the one who actually brought this subject up to our group. So I kind of want to hear your thoughts on this potential contract negotiation and maybe what it means for not necessarily the NFL, but tech companies moving forward and the future of how we consume media.
For a company I worked for a couple years ago, we had to do a forecast of how mass communications, how mass media, how mass advertising is going to look in 3, 5, 15 years from now. And throughout that, we realized that in television, as we know today, cable television, live sports is pretty much its only saving grace right now. Because the days of everybody watching the final episode of Friends or the final episode of MASH, which, by the way, clogged pipes in a city, if I remember correctly, during one of their commercial breaks because everybody was so just in tune to it. And so live sports is really where it's at. I'm a fan of the digital side of it because it's opened up so much more content that they're not sending, a bunch of reporters and the production that goes for it. So I can watch the really offshoot college baseball games or NCAA games, football games that are coming out. But what I find really interesting is Fox Broadcasting. Austin alluded to it. When we talk about the 4 major networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox was struggling. They had some hits, X-Files, etc. But it was when they won the contract for the NFL and to host and to show the Super Bowl is when their ratings went up and they started to be on par with the other 3 on a daily basis. So to Austin's point, I think this could be a true death nail to them. As if Amazon is able to go in and create the television angles and the reporters and the sideline reporters and the color commentary, etc., then the broadcastings are going away. But you're seeing the broadcasting companies do that anyway with the creation of Peacock and Fox Plus, etc. I'm not gonna lie. I did watch one game on the Nickelodeon broadcast this past thing. So when they scored a touchdown, it was the slime zone. I just had to see it. A little hokey, but it's trying to get those younger viewers in. So yeah, I'm thinking that in 2 years, it's going to be 2 things are going to happen. One, the NFL is going to make a whole lot of money because it's going to become a really big bidding war to try to keep others from being able to broadcast it. And 2, I do see that if the Amazon Primes, the Hulus, the Netflix start to get to the right to broadcast live television, why are you going to have a cable box where you have to pay for a bunch of channels you don't use?
Yeah, that's honestly the reason why I kept my cable package for so long, is because the only way to watch the Houston Astros and the Houston Rockets was to have a local television package, and you had to have a specific one. I prefer the flexibility of a Netflix, a Hulu, a YouTube TV, but I couldn't get the live sports that I wanted. And I do think that one of the cool things about what we've seen with technology advancing in the sports world is we've seen this past year, the NFL actually debuted an 8K camera on their Fox broadcast, and it was used also during the Super Bowl on CBS this year. And the 8K cinematography is just phenomenal. I mean, it although we don't have 8K screens right now, the camera that was used was 8K, and I believe the Tokyo Olympics this year are going to be filmed in 8K. Basically future-proofing this technology, and that's amazing. I mean, it's phenomenal. You look at what you currently see on the over-air cable packages. It's being distributed to you at 720p, 1080p, somewhere along that frame. But you look at Amazon and these digital networks. Amazon right now, as of 2-3 years ago, they were streaming Thursday night football games live in 4K. And I remember the first time they ever streamed a game in 4K, it was a game, I think it was like the LA Rams were playing somebody, but the game was in the Coliseum in Los Angeles. It was right at sunset, so golden hour. And I started by watching the game on, I think, like CBS or the NFL Network, something like that. Then I wanted to see what the stream looked like on Amazon, so I switched over just to see if there was a difference between 4K. Oh my gosh. The colors, so much more vivid. You felt like you were there. It was a more immersive experience. And I think that is something that is so exciting about not only the NFL, but just technology moving forward. And I don't know that it makes financial sense for these cable companies or these major networks like ABC, NBC, and CBS. I mean, they're so far behind the game in terms of competition with the technology that you've got these, startup tech companies being able to do. And Hattie, I know that you're someone that, cuts the cord as well. I'm curious your take on this whole situation.
I like what you both were saying. For one thing I like about streaming and technology, there's a lot more options there. And like you say, and now Hulu has live TV. I think once the NFL, or if the NFL gets wins the bid or the war and moves over to streaming, I think cable's dead. Cable's so expensive right now too, and all the freaking fees. By the time you're done paying for them, you practically paid your mortgage. But also too, the streaming is like you say, the visuals are so gorgeous, and I'm looking for the NCAA to go over. I would love to see them move over and see March Madness.
My Baylor Bears.
I know you're Baylor. The Baylor
Bears are going to be the 1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
And looking for, because I know, and I'm just looking for all of that to move over as well. And yeah, I am cutting my cord. All I need is internet. But again, I'm also a visual person. And I love the options. So moving sports over there makes sense to me. And I used to work for a cable company. And I loved it at one time because I got to see all the channels for free and all of that. But it also had its issues. So it was also, there were some technical issues as well. So with all the new technology coming on, I see it. I see it coming.
Yeah, and Thomas, we look at the way our lifestyle habits have changed. You mentioned the series finale of MASH and then the series finale of Friends and how that was like a must-see event.
That's probably you know what? I have never seen that show. Friends.
I was gonna say Friends or MASH. Which one?
Well, Friends. I watch MASH, but there was this thing that we used to say. They don't have any black friends, so there's no need for me to see it.
I've never seen it either. To be fair, it was before my time. But on that note, though, now everything is like on-demand content or DVR'd, and so you can go watch it at your own leisure. You don't have to be at home at 7:00 on a Thursday night to go see it. Thomas, is like the on-demand angle really shaping the future of technology, our viewing habits shaping the future as well?
I think so, but I want to go back first to your 4K because I heard about the NFL or NHL playing a game on Lake Tahoe. Yeah. No fans, and they said the background was just, and I looked at them like, you kind of like, I want to go there now because it was just so stunningly beautiful. But I think one of the challenges that we were talking about is the distribution. We talk about the price tags that come with just the rights to show it. I'm wondering if the NFL is going to produce the content and then just sell the content off, or if Amazon or whoever buys it is going to have to pay for the cameras, pay for the things, pay for everything else like that. Right now, Amazon, all of them are kind of riding the coattails of everything that's been previously built. We talk about 4K. I know that a lot of the networks are shooting in 4K. The challenge is it has to go through the cable provider, and their pipes are only at a 720 or 1080 or F that at times. And then it comes to our TVs, which are about 4K, so the 8K won't even show there, but there is that upgrade from it. But because the limiting factor is that 1080, we will never get more than 1080. And so I think it's real interesting to see the direct to consumer. There's not that middleman from there. And you're seeing it in big brands as well. You know, your Nikes who are no longer selling to or selling as much to the different retail companies, and they're selling directly to the customer. If I wanted to go buy a Nike shoe, I can go on to Nike.com and buy my shoe right now. So yeah, I think that's interesting. I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, that's totally fine. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to follow over the next few years, just to see how far cutting the cord actually does go, and whether these cable companies do exist in 5 to 10 years. I'm curious for our listeners out there, and feel free to drop this in the comments below, whether you're, watching this on LinkedIn, whether you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to it, leave us a review on iTunes or shoot us an email. How do you consume media right now? How are you viewing things? Do you prefer that on-demand content, or do you prefer, just having a bulk cable package or the a la carte options?
I think going back to your original question was about current viewer habits, and as you have it, I think that fear of missing out is really what it boils down to. It is the water cooler talk the next day. Hey, did you see the end of MASH? Hey, did you see the end of Friends? Hey, did you see that play in the third quarter where Patrick Mahomes was getting knocked over and threw a touchdown with his wrong hand? I think a lot of pro sports, the ones that were going back, yes, people were watching them, but there was not as much buzz around it, because there was not the, hey, at the office the next day, hey, Hattie, did you see Emmanuel Sanders at the Saints last night? Past guest. And so I think as long as you can watch it and you can stay current with your friends and stay current with everything like that, and there's not too many friends that are doing the spoilers. I used to watch a lot of the Premier League soccer and the Champions League soccer, and I had a friend of mine who would try to tape them, and we'd always email him or text him the wrong score of the game, like, hey man, did you see that goal and such? And he'd text back when he was actually sitting down to watch it, being like, what game were y'all watching? And we're like, we're just messing with you. Because he was so far behind the rest of us for watching it live.
Well, he didn't have a fear of missing out then.
but that's also where social media comes into play too. I think social media has allowed us to engage with the content in a completely different way. That second screen phenomena. I mean, I watch all games with my iPad. I watch big shows with my iPad because I want to see the commentary that's going on with that. So yeah, drop us some feedback on how you consume media in the comments below, and we'll share some of the responses on an upcoming episode of the podcast.
You've been listening to the Business Communicators.